Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ken with the Shop Mini RC, and today we're going to be doing some upgrades on our Losi Mini B truggy. It's sort of a truggy. I guess it's not really a truck, but it's a buggy with truck fronts. And yeah, so we have a build video on this already. It was basically just a pro roller, but we show installing the wing and doing the body for it and whatnot. We'll post a link over here, and you can check that out if you want. But we're going to go ahead and do some changes. We got this stuff. Bam. So we have some RC all-wheel drive, and what we've got are some shocks, some dog bones and axles, drag link, steering linkage, the bell cranks and the drag links, and then some A-arms, some aluminum A-arms. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade all this stuff on our truck right here. We're doing it mostly for the color. I mean, we do want the aluminum A-arms right now. We're going to put those on for sure. As far as the bell crank and drag link, the Pro Roller already comes with an aluminum bell crank and drag link. So I don't know if we're going to do that yet. Maybe. Depends how I feel. We're going to swap these out just to try them. I mean, I don't know how different they are than the stock, but we got them. So we'll throw them in and we'll use our stock as backup. And then our shocks. Now, something really unfortunate that we noticed is these are both front sets. Even though it's got an R. I don't know if that's meant to mean rear or not, but they're two front sets. And when I looked on the website, that's all they have is the front sets. So I don't know if they have a rear set, which is really unfortunate because I'd like to have the matching front and rear. But we'll go ahead and throw these on the front, get the red A-arms on there. And I think we're probably going to end up changing our body panels to silver and black Rockstar. There's a silver and black Rockstar energy drink. I think it's the sugarless, which is absolutely disgusting. So we probably won't be drinking it, but we'll go buy it just for the panels. And then we will have a silver, black, and red, which is kind of our channel colors. So that'll be cool. I think it'll look a little bit better than the red and the gold. Not that the red and gold looks bad. So we'll put it all on. We'll see if it looks good. We'll leave it. If it is just like really awkward looking, maybe we'll change it out to the silver. I don't know. Let's go. All right. So just remember, like and subscribe and share and do all those things. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you know when new videos go up. That subscribe button is just a click for you. All you got to do is click it, but it means the world to me. We really love all of our subscribers. We try to answer every single comment so far. So far, we literally have answered every comment on our YouTube channel. You can go through any video we have and we reply. At some point as we grow, that probably won't be able to be the case because we'll just have too many comments. Hopefully, that'd be a good problem to have. But we need you to subscribe and share the channel with people so that they find the content that you also enjoy. Looks like we have some kingpins here, or, A-arm. They're called kingpins, right? No, kingpin is something else. Kingpin is this. That's the kingpin. That's right. These guys are called pivot pins. So we have the front and rear pivot pins. And yeah, some cool looking arms. And these things are heavily angled. You can see like so. Should give some, I guess, clearance. I'm not sure the purpose, honestly. I just thought they looked cool. Let me know down in the comments below if you know what the benefit is of having it so angled. They're labeled left and right. You can see the L and the R. So should be pretty cool. I like the aggressive look. And then the rears are just flat. They're completely flat. All right, we're going to go ahead and get them in. So to do the rears, you pretty much can just pop out the back here. That'll let you pull this out, which will let you pull out your pivot pins. And your dog bones. And since we're going to do that, we'll go ahead and swap our dog bones over to the RC all-wheel drive ones since we have them. Now, honestly, there's probably not going to be a huge difference here, but there. And if you need new dog bones, I would definitely go with the upgraded, you know, or the RC all-wheel drive ones. They look a little more heavy duty, just a little. They're like a tad longer, just barely. Here, I'll go ahead and measure it out. So the RC all-wheel drive is 54, and the stock is just a tad shorter. And we can actually go from pin to pin. Let's do that. From pin to pin, looks like we're at 51 on the stock, 51.7. And the RC all-wheel drives are like 0.3 millimeters longer, which means you're less likely to pop out, right? Your drive shaft's less likely to pop out. We can also measure the actual pin diameter. Looks like we're at 2.03 on the RCs, and the stocks are just a little smaller at 1.98. So there is a difference. 2.03, 2.04 versus 1.98. Not much, but it is just a little beefier. Let's do the actual diameter. 2.07 on the RC, 2.09. Is that right? Let's do that again. Yeah, 2.08. And 2.09. So they're pretty much the exact same diameter of the actual dog bone. So we'll see. Again, there's not a big difference here, but we'll go ahead and throw in the RCs. We'll keep the stockies for later. And then you have your rear axle shafts and C-cups, and then the front. All right, we're going to pop these off. Careful when you pull these off, you don't want to lose your axle pin right here. So these guys are looking pretty much the exact same, and they need to be. You wouldn't want to change this up too much. It does look like the C-cup is just a tad shorter. Maybe that's why they're a tad longer on the dog bones. So the RC all-wheel drive C-cup is a 1.51 or 7.51, and the stock C-cup is in a 7.98. So just a little different there. 7.4, 7.9. So we're basically half a millimeter difference. Okay, the RC all-wheel drive is a half millimeter shorter. Now, why they would do that, I'm not sure. Maybe just to give more clearance while there's articulation happening in the suspension. Just want to see this. 2.19, 2.18, 2.19. Yeah, basically the same. Yeah, there we go. 2.15, 2.18. So these are a little tighter. So what that means is there might be a little less play in there. Oh yeah, there is. So if you use the stock, there's some play in there. You can see it. And then the RC all-wheel drive with the RC all-wheel drive dog bone, it's much tighter tolerance. So that's nice. We like that. All right, let's go ahead and throw this guy in here now. It's always a good time to check your bearings. We could use a little bearing lube. They're fine, I guess. These aren't like ceramic bearings or anything like that. In our Mini Zs, we like to use ceramic bearings. It makes a bigger difference in the smaller cars. The smaller the car, the more impactful each little tolerance and adjustment is. So on the Mini Bs, they're a little bigger. It's probably not as much of a deal. I mean, I'm sure there's some out there. We haven't actually looked. I'm sure there's some ceramic shielded bearings out there that will spin for days. We're not taking it that serious right now, though. All right, go ahead and put our pin back in. And our hex. Let's go ahead and get our shock off. And our rear knuckle. These are kingpins. They're basically like a screw with a smooth edge screwed on the top. That allows the pivoting to happen. And this portion here, it's kind of indented, right? That's what you're going to put towards the top so that the dog bone doesn't hit. If you put them upside down, you'll end up hitting on this little brace. Now, one thing of note, because we're going metal screws into aluminum, or metal into metal, essentially, you actually want to use some Loctite. So we're going to take a little bit of Loctite here, and we're going to throw it on our threaded portion of the screws. And that way these screws don't back out. Because when you go aluminum into aluminum or metal into metal, things definitely will tend to back out over time. So definitely make sure you get that little bit of Loctite on there. Also, I always try to mention it, avoid getting regular Loctite. This is blue Loctite. I don't know why it all came out like that. Make sure you don't get this on plastic, because Loctite will degrade plastic, and I've seen people put it on like their servo, and they'll like Loctite their servo into their servo mount, and then the servo is actually like a plastic case on like the SEX 24s, and the ears, they'll get a little bit of Loctite on there, and then they wonder why the servo breaks off, and it's because the Loctite degraded the plastic ear mounting points. So make sure you don't do that. And that's going to kind of apply right now, because this screw, oh no, these are metal ball joints here, but still, you want to be careful not to get Loctite on the shock eyelet, right? That would be bad news. We're going to start with the shocks. Let's see, where were they originally? Pretty outward. We'll move them pretty far out here. We'll see what that's like. This is we usually run this guy on the carpet. All right, just adjust a tad of Loctite here. And since we run it on the carpet, we basically want to get high traction. Okay. We'll go ahead and do the other side and put it together. All right, we got both sides installed. I do really like that all of the parts kits, like these came with the dog bones and the axles, extra button head screws and washers, and then again, the pivot axles or pivot rods and extra kingpins, right? So if you're building from the ground up, you end up with the extra parts, or if you're just upgrading like we are here, you have the extras in case you end up needing them later, you end up bending them or whatever. It's nice that these kits come with all the hardware you need. Be sure not to over tighten these because you are going into plastic. Unless, of course, you have the aluminum transmission housing. Just got to be careful there. So if you strip it out, you'll have issues with the screws backing out. All right, so there's our rears. We definitely like that we have a ton more adjustment points. You can even put the shocks, if you have the wing like this, you could put the shocks on the back side. Yeah, just good to have options. And then we're just going to make sure we get our dog bones in. We probably should have just done it as we were going, but sometimes it's hard to fiddle around keeping the dog bones in there while you're trying to hold the pin from sliding out and all that stuff. So we just pop off of our little ball cup there and we're good to go. All right. let's go ahead and get the fronts done. So to get the fronts off, there is a little grub screw that's right down in here. And you basically pull that back out. And these pins come right out. So there's your grub screw. Do not lose this little guy. And then that allows you to pop the pin out. Just like so. All right. And we'll go ahead and take the shock off. Actually, we'll go ahead and take the tire off as well. And we're going to be taking the whole thing apart because we got to put the axle in and we're going to put a new shock on. So. Now these fronts come off with a screw. There's actually a screw holding this on. This hex does not come off. So you actually have to unscrew the rear here. From the inside. We'll use the tire to hold it. It's a little tight. There we go. And this screw and washer are what came with these guys here. So there's our new axle. Now this really probably won't have much different at all because the tolerances have to be the same. So, but while we're in here and while we've got the parts, we might as well swap them out. Okay. Okay. These little guys can also use some Loctite. So you can't really see down in there very well, but the problem is the washer. If you put the washer on the screw and then try to put the screw down in through the C-hub or knuckle here, the washer actually doesn't fit through the back of the C-hub. So you have to put it directly onto the knuckle. And then you can take your screw and drop it down in. Now you could just completely remove the knuckle, right? There we go. You could pull the two kingpins out, the top kingpin and the bottom kingpin here, or actually top and bottom, and then you'll be able to pull that, and then you'll be able to just put that washer all the way. You know, you can just do it because there's nothing in the way. But when you have the C-hub there, you got to try to align the washer over the axle where the screw is going in because it doesn't want to fit through this hole with the washer on it. So just be aware of that. Probably hard to tell on the video what I'm talking about, but you'll see once you get in there. Also, make sure you don't over tighten these guys because then you'll kind of crush on the bearings, and that's not good as well. So always check for binding, and that's why we use a little bit of Loctite on there, because that little bit of Loctite will help keep it while not having to tighten it all the way down. All right, so new axle's in. I'll go ahead and pop this off. And actually, now you can probably see what I'm talking about better. So here, we'll just pop this off so you can see what I'm talking about. The washer has to sit on there, and you can't just put the screw and the washer through here without pulling this hub off or setting the washer on there and then putting the screw in. Okay. Just drop our pivot pin in there. Put our kingpins back in. These also you will want to Loctite because you're going aluminum into metal into aluminum. Again, only Loctite the threads. Don't Loctite this smooth portion because that's going into plastic and that would be bad. And then don't forget your grub screw. Super important. That's what keeps your pivot pin in. That guy just goes right down in there. Now we'll go ahead and do the shock. We have our little our Scuff Racing shock covers. So we'll pop that guy off. And we'll go ahead and throw a set of these on here. So here's the kit that comes with these. Got new screws. And these screws actually look like they have kind of like a flathead, like built-in flange, I guess. And you get some little O-rings, which is good. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at these guys. They do feel right off the bat a little stiffer, a little bit more stiff than the shock springs. They look thicker, right? You can see the, again, we can measure it up. You can see the spring. Look at the 0.8 versus the stock spring is a 0.7. So the RC all-wheel drive is a little thicker of a spring. I actually think we want to use these softer springs because we're on-road carpet. So I don't know if we want the thick springs here, the stiffer spring, which we can just swap them out and they should still sit nicely. So we'll pull off the shock cup there. And these are pretty nice. These are probably better than this plasticky ones here. So that's good. These are oil filled. So let's go ahead and show you what they're about in here. Okay, we'll open that up. You can see there's an O-ring here. Is there a second O-ring in there? No, just the one. So there's an O-ring on the outside. Oh, and then the like plastic washer. It looks like there's another O-ring inside there. So it's O-ring, washer, O-ring. So hopefully they won't leak. And then the top portion. There you go. It's the O-ring with oil. So they do already have oil in them. Not as much as they did when I got them because a bunch just came out. But they are pre-oiled. So that's good. Let's go ahead and pop this off. Throw this spring on here. Oh, is it not going to fit? Oh, it's tight. It'll fit though. You have to actually kind of tuck the spring over the, it doesn't just sit straight on there, but oh, that feels better though. You can kind of just tuck the spring onto the cup there, see? Oh yeah, that's a big difference. Those are very stiff. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. That's a pretty stiff spring. It's good for off-roadiness, I guess, but I think we want that, so we'll do that. We'll just actually put the stiff spring back on here. It is a little bit larger diameter though, so I wonder if the spring cup will hold it. Oh, barely. Wow, yeah, that's a big difference in weight there. All right, anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and put this guy on. It does look like we have the brass ball joints here. These should be going on the bottom. My concern is, how's it going to fit into the... And there's no smaller ball joint. And these screws are not... Oh, they're right here. What am I doing? There is a smaller ball joint. They are loose though. They'll just fall out. They don't stay in there. So just be aware of that. And let's see. We're going to do second from top. You have to kind of manipulate the little ball so it's facing in the right way, and we'll go in. Like I said, the screws kind of have a flanged head. I believe it's only actually threaded on the back side here. This side's not threaded, just this side. Yeah, this back side's not threaded. These have little plastic grommets or sheaths that go over, and we can just throw this guy on there. And you can also O-ring it. Actually, you know what? I actually want to go like this way, and I think we want the O-ring on the inside, so we'll go ahead and put the O-ring on the inside here. And then we can drop this guy on there. We need to add oil because we let too much oil out. That's okay. We also forgot that our shocks, hopefully these will fit on there. I don't know if this is going to fit. I don't know if our Scuff Racing protectors are going to fit on this guy. It's a little larger diameter, so we'll see. We're going to get some oil in there and then we'll see. Yeah, we were able to get them on there. They just take a little bit of finesse. You got to work it on there a little bit. But it went, so that's good. We can just go ahead and drop it on there and get our nut back on. Now you could, if you wanted to, use these screws versus the way the current shock tower is set up. We're just going to use this though. I think we're good. I just don't want too much play. I think we need some thicker oil. But we're fine. Let's just get her back together. We can do the other side, and then maybe later we'll mess with the oil. Yeah, this definitely has better dampening. We'll see. We're not going to open this one up, and we'll see if it's my my oil mess that did it. All right, we'll get this side done. We'll be back. Alrighty, all installed. These shocks are definitely less dampened than the stocks. Now, we'll see if that's a good or a bad thing when we go out and run it. Maybe that's why they had the stiffer spring on there, but it definitely doesn't dampen on the down, right? If you look at the rears, you can see they dampen pretty heavily. And we can probably change our oil. I think it just needs heavier oil. Actually, this side doesn't look like it's quite. We probably need to do some maintenance on these anyway. But compared to the fronts, they definitely have some dampening. Again, I just think it's the oil. So we'll probably at some point here swap out the oil. I'm not going to do it in this video, but make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the bell so that you know when new videos go up, because then you'll know when we show a video of changing that. All right, guys, I'm going to get these wheels back on here, and we'll see how it looks with the body. All right, there we go. The red and the gold doesn't look too bad. Kind of okay with it. We're going to have to adjust our... We ended up angling the shocks a lot more. You can see here we put them all the way to the inside, and then here we went all the way to the outside because it was sitting pretty high. We're trying to get it lowered down a little bit. Let me see if I can show you here. So it was kind of sitting a little high in the front, but Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to mess with this a little bit. We're definitely gonna have to make some more clearance on our body here, which isn't a big deal. We might end up doing the silver anyway, just to redo this front, because this is getting all kind of messed up, and we didn't know where the shocks were gonna sit or how this was all gonna fit when we first did it. So we kind of were estimating, but now we can pop this off and we have sort of a template that we can use to do the next iteration essentially, and we can bring it out a little bit wider, trying to keep some of the cover here on the sides, and we'll also bend these tubes out a little bit further. But there you go. These are some pretty wild A-arms here. I don't know if the red height is mostly because of the A-arms or because of the shocks. I mean, the shocks are the same length, and they're fully, not compressed. So it should be trying to ride as low as possible. We've got them angled all the way to the outside and then here. But I think that the fact that this is at an angle here means that you're not really going to adjust your ride height at all by moving your shocks outward, right? It's just going to be kind of the stiffness and the geometry there. I don't know. We're not very experienced in the off-road stuff, so I'm not sure. Give me some insight in the comments below if you knew more than I do. Part of why I'm doing this is to share what I do know and learn things I don't know. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We're not going to do the drag links right now. We're just not going to change these out yet. Maybe we'll end up putting these on one that has plastic. This one already has aluminum, so these are kind of a pain to swap out. So that'll be another video at another time. Yeah, maybe we'll end up pulling the aluminum out of here, putting it in one of our ones that has plastic, and then throwing the red in here. That way we get all the red on this guy. Not that it's a huge deal to make it red, but if we've got it, we might as well use it. So at some point, we'll put the red in there, and we'll put these in a plastic one. I think that's the plan. We also decided to put new fronts on, if you didn't notice. Our old fronts were getting a little bald for the carpet, so we can still use these to bash around, but on the carpet, slide too much. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, do all those awesome things. Why don't you put down in the comments below RCAWD rules? Put that in the comments below. And yeah, tell me that you're watching. That's how I'll know you watched all the way to the end. All right, guys. Get out there, build some cars, crash them, smash them, and bash them, but don't break any expensive parts.